And what if only you have the real power over everything that is in your life? Just thinking that is not so. What if you assign the items that you have, the money that comes to you, and no one can take it away? What if you choose the people who come into your life, how they treat you, how they love or want you? What if you assign and measure your self-esteem by yourself, and people and the whole world just accept it? Hello, I am Nikita, and yes, this is video about healthy self-esteem. In it I will tell you what is self-esteem and what does it mean to really appreciate and respect yourself. How does self-esteem affect health? Can low self-esteem cause depression? How is self-esteem formed in childhood? And why is income directly related to the level of self-esteem? Can high self-esteem be safe for others? And of course, how to deal with low self-esteem once and for all. Let's go. So what is self-esteem? Someone calls it self-respect, someone image of himself either in his own eyes or in the eyes of other people. In fact, all these things are connected. The general definition of self-esteem sounds like the value of oneself or how we feel valued. But in my experience, it's not quite true. The confusion is due to the fact that low self-esteem is biochemically felt as loss of self-worth. This guy didn't think so. When Napoleon returned from a 100-day exile from the island of Elba, on the way to Paris, all military units went over to his side. Propaganda and most of the nobility were against him, but Napoleon, just saying that he was the emperor, lured the people to his side, without shots, bayonets and violence. At the same time, he did not have any orders, diplomas or papers confirming his status. In a word, he inspired respect. This is a great example of self-respect, which demonstrates that self-respect is not in something external and it's not provided by attributes. It is a purely external state. Therefore, I propose an expanded and precise definition of self-esteem. Look, self-esteem is how determined you are in choosing happiness and good for yourself, regardless of conditions and circumstances. Please note that this definition includes the position of full responsibility for one's life and comes from absolute power over it and your life. That's what true self-esteem means. And it is the moment when we transfer responsibility, transfer the right to determine our value, and someone else determines our value lower than our expectations, then we get a dose of cortisol and experience pain. Yes, this is an evolutionary mechanism that we inherited from our ancestors, and it's present in higher primates. For example, when one particular individual of chimpanzee loses its social status and position in hierarchy, it means a decrease the chances of survival and a decrease the chances of transmitting its genes. It's a small social death. Naturally affects the body and the psyche and causes depression. After all, any creature in this planet likes to lose chances of survival. This is not a diagnosis and not a verdict. It's a signal from our psyche, so we should do something to raise our chances of survival and transmission our gains. That is, we choose to live, not to die. Yes, that's high the bid is, and this is come to a very important point. When two primates meet each other, they have an interesting question. Who will get the territory, fruits and females? Who is more and who is less? Which of the macaques have more rights to the benefits of the world? Which one will get more of them? Which individual is more important for the survival of the whole species? And it's an amazing moment. our brain begins to create criteria and complain who is bigger, who is smaller, who is stronger, who is weaker, and who is what color wool or trousers. That is, the mind needs at least something to climb and compare in order to choose a behavior model that ensures maximum survival according to their conditions. And this process takes place in the brains of both primates and also in primates who observe it. And people are absolutely the same. Naturally, there are already accepted criteria in society by which they determine who is more important and who is not, by age, type of work, experience, the high cost of the car, compliance with beauty standards, and etc. And to tell the truth, we have been in these criteria since childhood, and especially in our own family, where the child learns the criteria by which his parents explain to him why he should obey them, and not by self-willed. And then, with already installed criteria and reactions to them, a person goes out to the world and faces the question of self-esteem, and there are a lot of criteria and each social group has its own criteria. How to deal with it? After all, man is a little more complicated than a chimpanzee, and human society has generated a huge number of absolutely abstract concepts and criteria to complain each other of explain to others why they are less important. And yes, people have money instead of bananas. Yes, that's why self-esteem and income have the direct correlation, because with high self-esteem we easily expand our boundaries and allow ourselves to own something, and with low self-esteem we refuse because we are unworthy of it, and allow others to take away from us everything that they deserve, in their opinion, of course. For example, the relationships with the boss at work. He is more important than the employee. So, the employee must give all of himself to the work and all the results of the work to the boss. And the boss, in turn, assigns security for the employee in bananas. I will better in money. And there are a lot of such hierarchical challenges generated in human society. As many people intersect with each other's views, so many hierarchical challenges. How to win in most of them? How to establish sustainable self-esteem? There are several strategies here, but let's start with habits and behavioral strategies to destroy self-esteem. The first strategy is avoidance, avoiding fears, conflicts, and uncomfortable situations. For example, the habit of looking at the floor and not looking in the eye of people, or looking away, is the most frequent and vivid example. Evolutionary, this body language demonstrates low importance and value, as if to say, I obey you and give you all my borders and rights. Therefore, if you belittle yourself and push yourself under others, this is a clear sign of weakness, and weakness causes only pity, not respect. Naturally, this destroys self-esteem at all. It also manifests itself in avoiding people and situations in which it is uncomfortable. It is also a rejection of one's own space and the liberation of space for others. As a result, one understands that your boundaries do not exist, that you belong entirely to them, and you can do anything for you. This also destroys self-esteem in the body. As a result, all the habits associated with running away end up with the fact that your space and territory simply does not exist, and it feels like loneliness multiplied by the lack of the place for yourself in the whole world. The second strategy is related to the principle of struggle or anger, anger is actually also non-acceptance. The most common habit here is aggressively breaking through others people's borders, and if other people owe you. I think you don't like people like that. No one likes, believe me, because anger generates only anger, and blind aggression generates conflicts with other people in a vivid form which requires a lot of traits and energy to overcome. Wrestling is generally a very energy-consuming business, and by the way, almost fruitless. It is this strategy that is most often called toxicity. All these strategies are particularly noticeable in the relationships between people, and each of them leads to loss of respect for each other and as a consequence to destruction of the relationships. But there is also a true solution to the question of self-esteem, a strategy that will return your game in your direction and even make interaction with you pleasant and desirable for others. How? Because self-esteem should be independent. If it depends on the self-esteem of other people in factors that it requires in estimating the value of others in the order to be high yourself. And you cannot underestimate, not give away, but simply assign a high level of self-esteem, and then high self-esteem will be safe for you and others. The true solution to the question of self-esteem is the independent approval of such criteria, which no one will ever influence. Those criteria of self-esteem by which you respect yourself 100%. That is why usually to restore self-esteem, it's recommended to set a goal, achieve and respect yourself for it. But in fact, this is a deeper process. You can respect yourself for what you choose and decided to respect yourself. That's all, and period. Yes, that's so irrational. Just because I value and respect myself and I do it just because I want to, and this is my choice, I choose this way, it's more legitimate that more values in the world or logical things will not be. And the whole world around and the people in it just read it from you, they read your attitude to yourself. And reach such a position, the attacker of your self-esteem can do anything with it. Because he has no leverage, no logic, no arguments to destroy your self-esteem. Not that there is no question of destroying other people's self-esteem. It's only about making your self-esteem invulnerable and authentic, depending on nothing but your own desire and choice as it should be. And the whole world, as I said before, will just accept it, simply because nothing else can do about it, and will develop ways of interacting with you himself. In this way you become important to the world and the people in it. And what is important to us is that we treat it with acceptance and love. In total, dear friends, we have dealt with the issue of self-esteem. We understood how it is formed, what it comes from, and what it is based on. We understood where self-esteem comes from evolutionary, how it affects income and quality of life. We relieved the main strategies and found the best one that helps to get rid of low self-esteem and make it iron, solid and authentic, which allows you to live and act on a completely different level, which I sincerely wish you. Of course, the topic of self-esteem is much deeper, that all this will not go into one video. I made this video to help people with low self-esteem, but I will talk about healthy self-esteem, self-worth and interaction with other people and the world more and more on my channel. In order to receive new videos promptly, subscribe and like. This is the best way to support me and a lot of people whom my videos will help. This is a simple action that costs you nothing, but it will bring a lot of benefits to you and the world. And maybe it's your like that will be decisive so that the video appears to someone who truly needs. Thank you for watching. Have high healthy self-esteem. It was Nikita. See you later.